quick story. A year ago, me and my wife went to a summer fete in Norfolk, and it was one of those summer fetes that was mainly just full of garden furniture and garden stuff, plants and everything. And this garden show had like these big tents that you could go into. Some of them had sort of craft stuff in, but one tent in particular, and I think it was the only stall in this whole entire garden summer fete, there was an artist and she had a stall out with her art, and I was really intrigued, so I went over to the stall to check out her work, and she mainly paints animals and her work was absolutely fantastic. And there was one painting in particular that caught my eye, and I think it does this in life as an artist as well. You just walk in and something catches your eye and you think, I just want to basically go and have a look at that in a bit more detail and get to know the artist, and also maybe purchase the piece of art. On a bit of a whim, I went over, and this is the piece that I purchased in particular, and it's of a hare obviously, but the colours and the detail on it, as you can see, absolutely fantastic. So I got talking to this artist, and it was interesting because none of her art was signed at the front, down in the bottom right. She's obviously signed the back of it. And you could tell this artist she was really young, and it looks as though maybe it was her first stall, or one of her first stalls that she's ever done. And for me and my wife to go over and take interest in her art, and eventually to purchase this hare, I think it sort of meant the world to her, and it sort of gave her that confidence to think, yeah, I can actually attend these events and sell some art. So I've got a couple of jobs to do today. I don't know whether I'm going to get around to doing this one today, but I'll show you the other job I've got to do in the studio. So I'm going to make a nice frame for that and hang that on the wall proudly, because I think that's a fantastic piece of art. And her name was Madison, I do believe, but yeah, she painted this in 2024, so last year she actually painted this. I'll put a link down in the description to her socials as well, so you can go and check her art out, because yeah, it's always good to go and follow another artist as well. So the other main job I got to do in the studio today, because I live on the border between Norfolk and Suffolk, there is a Suffolk artist, because she just lives on the border as well. Her name's Sarah Johnson, and I've got 4 pieces of her work today that I need to photograph. I keep looking down because her work is on the floor. But her composition, mark making and attention to detail, along with the colour palette that she uses for her work, I think is absolutely amazing. And what I'm going to do for Sarah, the artist today, I'm going to photograph her work, professionally photograph it with a high-end camera, and then I create limited edition prints for the artist. And I think it is important to create limited editions of your original piece of art, just so you can sort of spread your work further afield. People feel as though that they can get a piece of your art for a lot less as well. I think that's important. It's good to have an original piece of art on your wall by a particular artist, but yeah, not everybody can afford an original piece of art. And it's a great way to support an artist and to, have one of those paintings on your wall. With that being said, I'm going to take you off the tripod and quickly show you these pieces of work, and then we're going to get hung on the wall and we're going to get photographing. Okay, let's check out our art. So as you can see, mark making, composition. Probably can't see this one too well because of the brightness coming through the window. This one I absolutely love. The reflection of the water and the mark making is pretty good. It's just the abstractness to it and the composition that makes her work really good, especially with the use of colour as well. All blends in, ties in really good. That one's like a church in the distance. There's another piece there, another church in the distance. Let's get you a close up, some of her mark making. So I'm going to have a bit of a tidy up in the studio, because as you can see behind me, still got my last painting on there. There's a whole load of paint down there. I don't want to get paint anywhere near somebody else's work, so I'm going to have a real good tidy up. Then we're going to get the paintings hung on the wall and get them photographed.
Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these restless nights, all these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to creep in through the window, but now I'm sliding through the hood in a Benzo. You gotta separate yourself just to elevate.
So my first challenge is to get the paintings on the wall, and the biggest painting is about 92 centimetres high, so if I mark off 92, which is about there, and I'm just going to hang them on the timber that they have been created on, so I'll come down 25mm from there, and then I'm going to draw a line on my board and get that pretty much level. Then I'm going to go in with 3 heavy duty screws on that line. And one more for good measure. And then from them screws, I'll be able to hang a piece of work on there. It should be pretty straight. There's always that feeling when you hang a painting on the wall, you just don't want to let go. You want to keep your hand underneath it. I know it's not going anywhere, those screws are in there pretty good. This is also plywood as well, so it's got a good grip on there. But yeah, when it's not my work, it's always a little bit... Anyway, that's on there. But yeah, let's just appreciate this painting as well, whilst I've got it under some decent lighting.
You gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. When you down bad, you gotta pay the price. I've been through hell and back just to live this life. What's a life without sacrifice? Sometimes you gotta thank God and just roll the dice. Pacino.
Right, so now we've got the painting on the wall, got the camera on the tripod. First thing we want to try and do is evenly light the actual painting itself. Now, some of the paintings I've picked up, some of them have been varnished, and I think one of them hasn't been varnished. So the key here is to not get any reflections on the actual painting. So the 2 lights I've got set up, I'm just going to angle them away from the painting. I'm going to actually bounce them off of the white ceiling. Got quite a nice white ceiling. And I'm going to lower them as well to spread that light out a bit more. Both these lights as well, they're running at the same colour temperature, because you want both lights to be the same colour temperature as well. You don't want to add any difference in colour within the painting. This one's just a slightly bigger light, so I've just toned it down so it looks evenly lit. And then the next little tip you want to do is move your camera to the centre of the painting itself. Just lining up my tripod head. And what you're trying to do is raise the camera so that the lens is dead centre with that actual painting. So you don't want your lens of your camera to be up here, and you don't want the lens of the camera to be down there, and also centre as well. And what this stops is when the camera goes back to get the whole painting in frame, it stops the camera looking up at the piece or looking down at the piece. So you want your eye level to be dead centre, or the actual lens to be dead centre. So for me, I eyeball this in terms of, I look roughly where the centre of the painting is, check the lens is dead centre, just to go down a fraction. Then once you're happy with that, you move your camera back in position and try and get the camera now centred to the actual painting itself. A little bit about the camera itself that I'm shooting on, it's a Sony A7R, so I think it's about 45 pixel camera, so it's a high definition camera, and I'm using a prime lens, a 50mm prime lens, and that will give me the best results for a painting this size. Even for a smaller painting, just means it's going to be a lot sharper. So now I'll just quickly pick you up. I'm just trying to, on the back of the camera, you can see it. So I want to now try and get the camera closer to the piece so I'm not losing any unnecessary pixels. So In other words, trying to get as much in frame as possible to the sensor on the camera. So I can go back roughly about there. And I think I'm just going to lift the camera up ever so slightly on the tripod here, just so it's a bit more in frame. So this lens goes up to f22, but I'm going to shoot at about f13 or f14. And you want to take your ISO all the way down to as low as possible. So this one's 50. And then I'm going to open up my shutter to 1/6 of a second. And that basically means the shutter will be open to let enough light in 1/6 of a second to capture everything. So f14 is going to basically keep everything in focus. So you don't want the f-stop to be too low. ISO is basically a digital way of bringing in light to the actual camera, and you want that as low as possible, otherwise it's going to add grain to your picture. And yeah, you just want to basically open up the shutter so it lets in as much light naturally as possible. Next thing I want to do is I use my autofocus to lock in on the focus, and then I turn autofocus to manual focus. So it's locked in on the focus and now it's on manual. And what that basically does, it stops it hunting in and out when I go to take the photo. Then I'm going to set my interval timer on 5 seconds. So after 5 seconds, it's going to take another photo. And what that allows us to do is to take a photo, which I'm going to do now. Now I'm not going to touch the tripod or even move. I'm going to talk to you. And this will then take a photo every 5 seconds. But there's no shake in the actual camera or the tripod because I'm not touching the camera whatsoever. And what that gives you is basically an image that's going to be as sharp as possible without any human element of movement. So this one I've just upped it to f20, which makes it just that little bit more sharper, and opened up the aperture to 3.2 seconds. And I'll do the same process, so I'll let that shoot a few shots. 3 or 4 shots without me touching, moving. And one last thing I forgot to mention is you want to set your camera up to shoot in RAW, and shooting in a RAW format gives you that full ability to edit your photos in post as well. So that's another little tip. Right, I'm going to get this painting down and I'm going to crack on with the other 3, and yeah, then that should be complete.
Cars to fix, bills to pay, rooms to clean, meals to make. What a life that we've designed. I'd do it 1,000,000 times with you and never get tired. You're my piece of heaven on earth. Oh, you make it all worth it. You're the reason I keep it. Piece of heaven on earth. Oh, you make it all worth it. You're the reason I keep hitting snooze just to stay next to you. Over and over and over again. I can't wait to do this with you. Over and over and over again. Over and over again.
And that's it for the photography stage. We now need to get the files off of the camera. I'm going to profile these photos to what this artist has had before. I'm going to run out some test prints, and then I deliver the paintings back to the artist. And along with the test prints, make sure she's happy with the colours and everything. And then yeah, I'll have the files then on my system to reproduce the limited edition prints for her in the future. So stick around and I'll show you that process as well. Okay, so I pulled the images into Lightroom, and the first thing I do is go through the images and I star up with 1-star rating on the ones that I want to then develop further. So I'm just making sure when I zoom in, everything's sort of in focus on the ones that I'm selecting. And they will need a slight sharpen as well once you've selected the ones that you want to go with. So some of these photos are the ones I've shot for the same artist in the past. So I'm just going to copy the same settings that I developed these ones against, and they should in theory come out the same on the ones that I've just shot. So these are the proofs run out. I run out some slightly larger ones, slightly smaller ones. But as you can see, I'm happy with the colouring. I did tweak the colours ever so slightly to try and match the paintings as best as possible. I don't know whether it sort of shows on this camera, but yeah, there's that one for instance. It's always difficult in different lighting, but I try and test all the prints in as much natural daylight as possible. I'm happy with the matches compared to the actual paintings themselves, so it's time to get these back off to the customer, or the artist should I say, and yeah, just double check that she's happy. There's that moonlight one, which is really nice. I'll just sort of give you some close-ups of these. So thank you for watching this video. Please do subscribe, hit the like button if you like this video. It's a little bit different. As I say, it's not my art today, it's about just the process of reproducing some artwork. So I thought that that'd make a good video. And if you can comment down below, at the beginning of this video there was a painting on the wall which I'd done in my last video. Just put a comment down below what you think that should be called, and then I'll pick a name and name that painting and put that on the website as well. Speaking of the website, if you head over to flowworks.uk, you can subscribe to my newsletter, so every time I release a video, or if I've got any tips or tricks or see something out there in the art world, it's worth subscribing to because you'll be notified of that. Feel free to also follow me on all the other social channels, Instagram, also on TikTok as well. And I've got a Patreon account as well. If you did want to sign up to that, you then get a discount on my actual website as well. So hopefully in the next video, I'll be doing an actual painting, either digitally or an actual physical painting. So stick around for that. And until next time, keep painting, keep being creative, and I will catch you in the next video.